Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's Friday Live. I've had to change the time today. Today's a really jam-packed day, and I've probably overcommitted myself in a few areas. So I'm doing my best because I know that I promised to go live for you on a Friday, and I'm trying to fit it into a very packed day. So excuse the change of time, and let's see where we end up today. So it's Fiona Lukis here. This is my Friday Live Q&A, where I go live every Friday to answer any questions that you may have about life, relationships, all of that fun stuff. And if you've just tuned in or you are watching live, please say hi. Always like to know where people are and where you're listening from and where people are. So if you have tuned in live, please feel free to say hi to me and let me know that I'm not just speaking to myself. So, obviously, these Friday Lives are really an opportunity for you to ask me any questions, and I'm really open to any questions at all. I have no problem with being put on the spot. I have no problem with someone asking me something curly or something they've not heard before. Hey, Marie. Hi. Welcome. Thanks for saying hi. Hi, Jody Lee. Hi. Thanks for saying hi as well. Now, I know, Marie, you're in Tasmania. Whereabouts are you, Jody Lee? Where are you tuning in from? Hi, Disa. Hello, darling. Thank you so much for saying hi. It's always lovely when people jump in and speak to me. I do love to hear from you all. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. So if you've got a question, feel free to post it in the comments below. I'll happily answer it. Don't mind being put on the spot. Ask me any question that you like. I've been working with clients for 13 plus years. And, I've been asked just about any kind of question you can imagine. I also go live twice a week with my Relatable group, and they are just Q&As where anyone can ask me anything they want. So I'm used to having lots of questions and tricky, curly ones, whatever it might be. But if I can be of service to you, that is the whole point that I'm here. The reason why I do this is, can I be of service? Can I make a difference? And if you think that I can, or you're not even sure, just jump in and let me know, and I will happily answer your question. Hi, Amanda. You're from Murray-Dark. Oh, you're just around the corner from me. Literally just a few minutes away. So hi, thanks for tuning in, Amanda, and thanks for saying hi. Oh, Jody Lee in Northern New South Wales. What a beautiful part of the world that is. I do love the Northern New South Wales area of Australia. It's a gorgeous, like stunningly beautiful part of the world. Amazing. You live in a very, 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 very beautiful place, Jody Lee. So do you, Amanda, actually. I must admit, we're pretty lucky down here on the peninsula where we live. It's pretty beautiful. So if you've got any questions, feel free to post them below. Hey, Daryl. Hi, how are you? Nice to see you. I know Daryl's in Adelaide. So thanks for tuning in and saying hi, Daryl. So lovely. Oh, thank you. Now, I want to chat about something today, and but in saying that, I also am more than happy to ask a question, to answer a question. Okay, so if you do have one or there's something on your mind, don't be shy. Feel free to ask, and believe you me, your question will be something that someone else has on their mind, that someone else is wondering about. I promise you that. We are. And people get annoyed with me when I say this on my Facebook ads, not people who know me or know my work. People get annoyed when I say we are more same than we are different. We really, really are, us human beings. We really are more the same than we are different. And the more we understand that, the calmer, more grounded, and far easier it is to be in relationship with ourselves, with life, and each other. As you know, these are the three main areas that I talk about. These are the three main areas of relationship, and these are the three main areas that we need to be good at, right? Because these three areas are the basis of your entire life, okay? They're the basis of everybody's entire life. So there is your relationship with you, there is your relationship with life, okay? Very, very important. And there is your relationship with others. But it is your relationship with you and your relationship with life that have a massive impact on your relationship with others. So I'm all about helping people in these three key areas. These are the ones. And these, when you look at them, underpin our levels of well-being, joy, everything when it comes to what we do for a living, when it comes to how we show up to our partners, when it comes to how productive we are, when it comes to decision making, when it comes to anything like that. These are the 3 key areas. And so the basis of my work, everything I teach, my relatable program, they cover these 3 areas. You know, most things are just covering this one when it comes to relationships, your relationship with others, but really it's these 2 that matter the most. Okay. When people have got this stuff sorted, this becomes super easy and natural and, dare I say, effortless. Hi, Kirsty. Afternoon, Fiona. Sorry for the distraction on Wednesday night's call. I think we're just bored being in ISO this week. Kirsty and her partner were on my relatable group call on Wednesday, and I was laughing, going to put them in the naughty corner because they were giggling together on the call. But it's all good, honey. No, it's all good. It brings a sense of lightness and playfulness to these things, which I think is important. So thanks for saying that. I appreciate it. Okay, so it's these 3 areas that make the difference. Now, in saying that, I want to talk about something that has come up quite a bit this week in my client work. Okay, so we're at a Friday, and one of the reasons I like to go live on a Friday is, you know, I kind of share whatever is fresh for me as well, and that generally is whatever's come out of my client work. So the one-on-one sessions that I have with people, or what has come out of my calls and relatable. And you know, this was the name of my last podcast, and I want to explore this a little bit with you guys today. And in doing so, like I said, if you've got a question, feel free to post it below. So one of the things that has come up quite a bit this week, and it is the name of my last podcast episode, it's called The Work Ethic of Love. Okay. Now, you know, when you think about it, when it comes to work, and let's just put love to one side one moment, you know, we value having a work ethic, don't we? We see that as important. You know, people with a good work ethic, it's something you put on a resume, right? I remember helping my daughter with her resume. I was helping my daughter with her resume this week, and she put on that strong work ethic. And I thought, yeah, that's something that we value in ourselves and each other, right? And we accept that as being a part of life, right? Having a strong work ethic, meaning that, you know, you can knuckle down and get the job done if you need to, that you are a reliable employee or boss or whatever, that you are someone who can focus, who can put distractions to one side and do what needs to be done. And, you know, I think this is a really important thing to bring to our relationships, okay? Because we don't see that in our relationships. We don't see that the same way. We see that as, you know, why should I be the one to always make the effort? Why do I always have to be the one that has to let go? How come I have to get over myself? These are often things that I hear from new clients, okay? I'm trying so hard and they're not making an effort. And I guess I wanted to kind of speak to that because, you know, when we do that, we get very distracted. We get distracted by our insecurities and another person's, and we actually forget what it is that we're actually wanting to create. I was just on a call with a gentleman just before I got on the live, and I actually had this conversation with him because he was sort of saying, oh, you know, my wife tends to get angry and frustrated, and I tend to shut down. I actually had a lady in Canada express this beautifully today, and I wrote it down. A lady I was working with this morning, she said, my partner and I tend to he goes into fight or flight and I become the turtle. And I went, I love that expression, right? It's so common. One of you is going, and the other one's becoming the turtle, sticking its head in its shell and disappearing, right? That dynamic is so common, right? Very, very, very common. And one of the reasons it's so common is because, you know, if you're the one, when you're the one, and I've seen your question, Amanda, and I'll answer it for you, honey. When you're the one that is expressing like this, when you're the one going, let's talk, let's blah, blah, and the other person is doing this, right? One of the reasons we're attracted to that is because we know there are times where we need to be calmer and more measured and we need to process stuff. And that's what the other person offers. And so in the early stages, that's attractive, right? And the other person who disappears know that sometimes they need to hold the line and stay the course and be present instead of shutting down. So, you know, there is something that is attractive to each other that you can see that each other need. Now, when you're in a good frame of mind, you see the positives in that. When you're in a low frame of mind, you do not. But remember, this is very important. It's not the who's doing what that matters. It's the frame of mind that matters. Okay? It's the frame of mind that matters, not who's the turtle and who's the fight or flight. It's the frame of mind that determines how you respond to that. Okay, this is very, 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 very important. So, you know, when it comes to the work ethic of love, and I think this is very is kind of in alignment with your question, Amanda, and I'm going to come back to it. Okay, there are times where you have to be the one, okay, and you will notice in relationships. Now, of course, I'm not saying all day, every day, where you compromise yourself and you suck the life out of it. That's not what I'm talking about. When you are when there's balance, and meaning when you have a good relationship with your own wisdom, this is very important because most people do not, and they don't even really know what I mean by that. So, you know, when you're tuned into your own wisdom, which is like having your best friend sitting on your shoulder who holds you in, who sees the best for you, wants the best for you, and knows what is the best for you, right? Most people have a very poor relationship with wisdom because they spend all their time in their analytical ego mind. Okay. And we're not meant to be in our analytical ego mind all the time. We're really not. We're meant to be in there far, far, far less than where most people are. And it is when relationships break down is when people are stuck there. That's where they break down. Okay. They don't break down because of the differences. They don't. Okay. There's plenty of people who are polar opposites who are madly in love and happy. It's not the differences. It's where you are in your own mind and where two people are, where their normal is in their own mind. And most people end up in their ego mind. And in your ego mind, you have rules. Okay. In your ego mind, your reality is the better reality. In your ego mind, you think the other person should do this or not do that. So in your ego mind, you're judgmental, you're rigid, and there are rules. And when I say your ego mind, I mean everybody's. Okay. And we cannot live there and do relationships well. It's actually impossible, right? Because in your ego mind, you're judging. In your ego mind, you're sped up. In your ego mind, you think you are better. Really, this is what happens. You think you're more right than the other. You think you know better. So you're coming from this space of superiority without even realizing it, right? And that is really detrimental in relationships. And so quite often what happens is people are coming from that space and they think they are making sacrifices. They think they are compromising. They are letting things go, but they're not. They're bringing a flavor of superiority. They're bringing a flavor of I'm right, you're wrong. They're bringing a flavor of resignation. Oh, okay, all right, yeah. It's always like this, isn't it? I'm always right. They're bringing that flavor and they don't even realize it. That has a huge impact on the other person. Huge. Far more than people understand. It's people's biggest blind spot. And so when I come back to what I was just talking about in the beginning of this live, the work ethic of love, and the fact that we kind of treasure having a work ethic. We don't mind working hard when it's in a certain situation, do we? We don't mind putting in the extra effort. We don't mind, right? Because we think it makes us look good. And we want to look good. We want to be seen as productive and all of those things. But the interesting thing in relationships, we don't want to do that. We think the other person needs to make more of an effort. The other person, it's always the other person. Okay. Now, one of the great things when you see the work ethic of love, because there is one, is you're being given an opportunity to expand and grow and get beyond where you are. Okay. And which means, you know, as I was saying to the gentleman I was just talking about before, I said it's you know, one of the things that we struggle with as human beings, and it's a big part of what I teach, is a big part of my relatable program, is getting over yourself. And, you know, little humans, as I call us, okay, you got to learn how to get over yourself again and again and again. Getting over yourself is not compromising your beliefs. That's a completely different thing. It's not even on the same page. So please don't think you know what I mean when I say that. But getting over yourself is something that we all need to be better at, because that's where relationships fall down. It's either make or break. Your ability to get over yourself, your ability to bring something else to the table, your ability to love yourself through your frailties and somebody else's through their own frailties, is what will make a difference. That is the work ethic of love. Okay. Now, when you see that and you see what a gift that is for you, because you get to grow, learn, and expand, you get to go beyond your own limitations or somebody else's and see what's on the other side of that. Right? That's what is available to you if you're open to it. Then, you know, you get to have a truly extraordinary experience. Now, I say this okay, from my own personal experience. So I say this as someone who has experienced this myself. I used to, those of you who've bought my ebook or know a little bit about me or have been following me for a little while, I'm not exaggerating when I say that I was extremely arrogant. I was very reactionary. I was addicted to being right. My first port of call was anger and judgment. I was very much in my ego analytical mind, right? And I felt justified every step of the way. Well, maybe not every step of the way, but most of the way. Okay. I'd get on my high horse and I would struggle to get down. So couldn't get over myself. And was very much coming from like that feeling like it's up to me. I'll have to do this, blah, 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 blah. And I'm bringing that flavor a lot to my marriage, to my relationships. And, I can't tell you, and I mean this when I say it's the greatest gift that's ever come my way, that is not my first port of call, that I do not see life that way, that I have a lot more humility within myself. The arrogance, I'm sure it's there. I'll speak to my husband or my kids, I'll say it's still there. But it is just not my first port of call. I know how to get over myself, and I do often. Okay, I do often. I get over myself a lot. And it's not just once or twice and I go, oh, well, I've done it, it's your turn. It's like I can do that whenever I want. And I get to live in the feeling of that. And it's an amazing feeling, right? It's a win-win. Win for me, win for the other person. But I'm not talking about compromising. I'm not. That's a totally different thing. Compromising actually doesn't work. It just leads to resentment. Okay, when you feel like you're compromising, it honestly just it leads to resentment, because people feel like they've given up more than the other. It becomes about a measurement of something. Okay, and when we're measuring something, and people are always measuring things in relationships, they've got like a little notch, and they're looking in the notch who's been better, who's tried harder, who's this, who's that, and they're in this comparison game, right? And if they feel like they have tried harder or done more, then they'll feel justified in being resentful. And then once you feel justified in being resentful, then you're going to do your whatever role or whatever is your kind of flavor. You're the fight or flight person or the turtle. You'll just do that. Okay. And you'll feel completely justified, and it'll feel like, well, I'm allowed because you haven't done this, you haven't done that. Now, it's very important to realize that if you're playing that game, that's your game, and you don't have to play it. There's a whole other way to show up here, right? There really, really is. I really want you to know that. Okay. Now, you may be in a relationship with someone who is doing that, but you don't have to meet someone where they're at. You just don't. That's always an optional extra. There is never a requirement to meet someone where they're at. You always have choice. As I was saying to this gentleman before, you've got to understand, there's this fork in the road that we are constantly at in life, right? As we are, the thing is, you've got to be able to see it. And the fork is very, very simple. It's either love or fear, love or fear, love or fear. That's it. That's the choice you continuously have. Love or fear, love or fear. Now, an example of fear is anger, shutdown, resentment, self-righteousness, judgment. Can you hear that noise? My son is home from school today and screaming at his PlayStation. Oh, love it. So that's what you can hear, okay? That's what you can hear. That's what I can hear. I can hear my son screaming at the PlayStation. Okay, these are the choices that you have: love or fear, love or fear, love or fear. They are literally the only choices that you have, okay? Now, a lot of people think that love means sacrificing yourself. That is not what I'm saying. That is actually fear. If you're sacrificing yourself, you're choosing fear. That ain't love. All right? Just want to make that one really clear. So you got to see the choices that you have and the fork in the road that is always available to you. Always. Okay? Now, if someone is in a low frame of mind and the worst of them is coming out, okay, you still have a choice. I can meet them there and I can get justified and go, well, you're not behaving nicely, so I'm not. Right? You can. And I'm not saying this isn't about right or wrong either. Don't see this in terms of right or wrong. It's just that when you choose love, there is these consequences, this reaction. When you choose fear, there are these consequences and this reaction. That's just how it is, right? It's not right or wrong. It's just this is how it is. Okay? This is very, very important. Now, the great thing, and for some of you who've been following me, I've set an intention for this year. My intention is to let love in, and it doesn't mean, and it's not just about romantic love. It's about all of those things. It's me getting over myself. It's about me having faith and trust in life. It's about me seeing beyond my husband's frailties when he's in a low mood. It's me recognizing it. Just because I feel justified in getting upset doesn't mean I can or should. All right. It's seeing that not everything that feels like that I need to say needs to be said. It means if I have an opinion, I don't need to express it. It means so many things. It means humility and grace and loving yourself through your frailties, seeing when you are being unreasonable, seeing your flavor. I mean, there's so many elements to this, right? But absolutely, I want to choose love. Now, I, of course, choose fear at times. Of course I do. I'm human. But that's what I'm interested in. And what happens is when you have this understanding that I teach in your life, you start to see that love is the only one that's really interesting, that's worth it. This isn't so much worth your time or your energy, okay? You don't get sucked into this as much. It doesn't look as appealing. It looks less and less and less appealing. Now, that's a wonderful thing because then this becomes easier and easier and easier, right? I know, as I said earlier, I used to be addicted to being right. So this was very appealing, right? Going down this pathway was very appealing. Very. The pathway of fear. Now I'm going down the pathway of love. Far, 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 far more often. And it is the best feeling in the world. Because when you choose that, you get to live in the feeling of it. Win-win. You and it ripples out to everyone around you. Okay? Now, I'm going to come back to your question, Amanda. I have a question when you're ready. I've done relationships that thrive. Okay, cool. And I'm curious to know the difference between making the other person feel good and walking on eggshells. I try to think about the greater good. Okay. This isn't about making someone else feel good, right? This is about the feeling that you want to live in. Okay. This is about the feeling that you want to live in. What's the feeling that you bring? It's not about the other person. I know this might sound quite counterintuitive, but so many people, when they come to me, are very concerned about how someone is or isn't showing up. And what you want to see, that this is about how you are showing up. This isn't about blame or right or wrong. Please, no. Just take that off the table. Okay. We get very limited by blame, by right, wrong, by justification. This is about seeing what you are capable of, right? What you are capable of creating for yourself. You've got to know that within yourself and then see what happens when you bring that space, when you show up from that space, then see what happens from that. It isn't about, because what you're saying, if you're walking on eggshells, Amanda, there's a lot of fear there, right? You're worried about the other person's reaction. You're worried about their response. And so what you just got to understand, honey, when you're walking on eggshells and there's a lot of fear, what you're saying is my well-being depends on the other person. Okay. That is not true. You have to know where well-being comes from. It's not dependent upon another person. It's not situational dependent, right? It's one of the first things I talk about in Relatable. I know you've done Relationships That Thrive, which is like the trimmed down version of Relatable, but I'm still talking about some cool stuff in there. But you've got to know that well-being is not something that you outsource. You have to know that that is yours and nothing and no one can take it from you. This is very, very important. Then you will show up with a different flavor that's not fear-based, that's not like this. Because if you're walking on eggshells, the image I get is, right? Now, when you do that, you're bringing a flavor of insecurity into things. And so the other person starts to mirror it because they become insecure. It just becomes a mirroring game. We're always mirroring each other, okay? So if you're bringing that, just know that you're bringing fear. Now, I'm not sure what's going on or where all of that is, but that's what you're bringing. And so it feels like you've got to stop this and stop that. And so you've got to let go. You said, I feel like I'm compromising all the time. So there's going to be a lot of resentment in your flavor too, if that's how you feel, right? And that's the very opposite of what you're trying to create, okay? And so the other person is going to feel that because it's our energy that enters the room before we do. Always, always, always. And it has a far, far, far bigger impact than anybody truly understands. Okay? This is such a missing piece in this space. It's not funny. But you've got to know the flavor that you're bringing. Now, in order to change your flavor, you have to understand how humans work. You have to understand where well-being comes from. You've got to understand who you really are. right? Remember I said to you all before, there are 3 areas: your relationship with you, your relationship with life, and your relationship with others, okay? So again, what I'm talking about covers these 2 things because that is what impacts this one. All right. So, one of the things that is so important is you've got to know where to look for the answer. But if you're walking on eggshells, just know you're bringing a flavor of fear. And I don't mean to say that that's your fault or you're doing something wrong, Amanda, at all. Please don't hear it that way. It's just so you can see what's going on, because awareness is the first step to having any choice over anything, right? You can't change what you can't see. All right. This is why awareness is so important. But it's awareness of what that really matters. And I'm really big on awareness of how we work. How we work. This is key to everything. Because when you understand that, eggshells doesn't look so much like a viable option. In fact, you see what you're doing and you realize, I'm not in the right frame of mind right now. I'm going to come back to this later or whatever. But you factor in where you are at into what is going on, because how we are internally has far, far greater impact than we understand. This is the whole basis of quantum physics. This is something that scientists have proven yet do not understand, that every single thing has an energy field, even an innate object, which is why they have, they've got studies showing a camera that is looking at looking at something changes the something because of the energy field of the camera, right? So we all have energy, and this is something that is very misunderstood and a very, very big part of that is needing to be understood in order for us to do relationships well, to be relatable, right? Because that's what I'm all about, being relatable. Okay. I hope that that helps, Amanda. Daryl, I've often been in resignation with my wife and say, fine, just do what you want, and I'll go with it. I previously just met her, let her have what she wanted, but now we separate. I'm standing up for myself, and she doesn't like this. Now she wants to compromise. However, it's always still on her terms. Okay. Well, I guess the great thing is this is something that you can, move through little bit by little bit, right? Little bit by little bit. And that's the important part. Remember, everybody, this is very important. All we have in life is never ending moments of now, 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 now. And each moment of now stands on its own, right? It's a standalone thing, okay? Moments of now don't blend. They're separate, okay? You've got to see that. Why does that matter? Because each moment of now is a blank canvas. People don't know that, so they blend all their moments of now together. And so their moment of now becomes a blend of the past and their fear of the future, and it all becomes this mishmash. No, right? That's not how it works. And that is not how you, that is not the pathway to having great relationships, for you to be relatable and all the delicious things that I know people are looking for. Okay. All right. Amanda. Yep. Okay, cool. So that helps. Perfect. Thank you. I'm really glad to hear that. Thanks so much for asking your question, Amanda. Okay. I really appreciate it. Brian. Hello, Brian. Hello. Always lovely to see you, Brian, as always. Okay, everybody. I've got to fly. Like I said, I've got one of those days today where it's all a bit jam-packed. But I will be here next Friday at my normal time of 1:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time. If you have a question, please email it to me, hello@fionalukis.com.au. And if you'd like me to answer your question without using your name or any of those things, which I generally do, that's fine. I'm more than happy to do that. Feel free to send it in and just put on the subject line Friday's Live, okay? And I'll answer your question. In the meantime, as always, people are always asking me about my program Relatable. I will post a link to that below. There are a couple of people on the chat who've done Relatable, and they will happily answer any questions that you have about it, if you have any, and because people absolutely love it. And this is where I teach this understanding. Okay. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for being here. Lots of love to you all. See you next week. Ciao.